She's getting her striking in order. She's, getting better on the ground. All aspects of her game are getting better. She seems so confident, so dominant, and so ferocious in her first fight this season here in the PFL. I expect to see more of that tonight.
Randy, her opponent, Cindy Dandois, is incredibly experienced, a judoka in her own right. Yep. Does she have what it takes to challenge Kayla Harrison?
Well, on paper, you would think that the judoka prowess of Dandois, who's a 4-time bronze medalist in her country of Belgium, would carry out, maybe negate some of Kayla Harrison. That's the real question. A national competitor versus an international superstar. She's got a lot of experience. She's very resilient. She's got an awkward striking style. You see her use her judo every chance she gets. Can she do that against Kayla? This woman is very resilient. As I said, 5 children, a teacher in Belgium. She literally had a child 5 months ago, and here she is in her second fight in the PFL. Unbelievable resilience.
All right, now it's time to bring our betting experts into this conversation. Jonathan Coachman and Ian Parker are here to help out. It's hard to find plus money when someone has the odds that Kayla Harrison does, but somehow the Duck found a way to do it, so we'll send it over to Coach and Ian. Fellas?
Yeah, Sean, thank you very much. We're certainly excited to be here tonight. When you give us 12 fights and you let Ian Parker dig in, my goodness, we're going to find the value. Now, before we move forward, we must look back. And let's start right at the top with Kayla Harrison, because at PFL 3, she was minus 2,000. You can't play that. So, Ian, walk us through how you brought this down to a plus money play.
Well, Coach, like you said, minus 2,000 was way too much for us to go at it, and even minus 400 for her to finish. So what we did was we took her by TKO or KO to get the win at plus 120 odds, and that's exactly what she did.
But let's spin it forward to tonight, because here's what it looks like now at PFL 6. Her odds are over, minus 3,300. Now, the finish is still too high at minus 835. So do you like the same bet, but this time at minus 134?
I truly do. Look, we're not going to fix it if it's not broken. Minus 335, too much. Even to win by finish, way too much. Minus 134 is still a comfortable number to throw a straight pick on for her to get it done at TKO or KO, and I think Kayla does it again in the exact same fashion.
And for the good folks at home, you can see right there graphically, my man Ian Parker moves the market by himself. Now, Sean, we're ready for tonight. We've got parlays, we've got props, we've got underdogs, we've got all of our best bets. So we are ready, but for right now, let's send it back to you.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you, Ian. All right, there's the pick. Kayla Harrison, not just by finish, but by KO or TKO. Do you like it?
I do. Listen, she's facing another grappler. She's going to be hyper aware of the submission skills of Kayla Harrison. I think she'll be keeping those limbs in tight. What does that open up? Strike. So definite potential TKO there for Harrison.
Randy, it's only happened once in Cindy Dandois' career that she's been finished by KO or TKO. Does Kayla Harrison make it too?
Well, that's the real question. She's been submitted once. She's been knocked out once. Is her judoka skills going to be something that Kayla wants to impose and prove that she's the better judoka and get the submission? That's the real question. She can certainly show off her hands. We'll see. It's going to be a very interesting fight.
All right, so that's how Ian tells us to play the main event. What about all the fights on this ESPN2 card? Because these are unbelievable matchups. Kayla Harrison in the main event, Anthony Pettis in the co-main, Lance Palmer and Movlid Haibulayev in a feature featherweight bout. And of course, we'll start things off on ESPN2 with some massive dudes, Denise Goldsoft and Brandon Sales. All right, let's talk about this. Winner go home fights at featherweight and lightweight. And in the preseason, both Pettis and Palmer were among the betting favorites to win the title. Now it's back against the wall. It truly is winner go home. And Randy, for Anthony Showtime Pettis, that's not where he expected to be. What's going to happen tonight?
Well, it's really interesting. We're going to see the Pettis we're used to seeing, that's so dynamic, such a great striker, literally pulls things off that it's like a movie. It's like Matrix. We're going to see that same Anthony Pettis tonight. I think he got a little egotistical and thought he wanted to show off his striking against the guy everybody was touting as the great boxer. Felt like his were underrated as well. Manfio, great hands, but kind of that jiu-jitsu style of striking. It's a little wide, it's a little wild, but he's got amazing power. Does a great job there in Ludbach to secure the victory. How does he do against a guy like Pettis? I think this is going to be a slugfest.
Again, Anthony Pettis needs to win or he doesn't go to the playoffs. And Lance Palmer, a two-time champion in the PFL featherweight division, Kenny, is in the same exact spot. Not only does he need a win, he needs a finish, and that's hard to do against Movlid Khabulaev.
That's right. He had a tough stylistic matchup in his first round matchup here in the PFL. He has yet another one here tonight. But for Lance Palmer, I think he was kind of too content to lay back and try to counter wrestle and counter strike. That did not work out. I think Lance Palmer is at his best when he's leading the dance, when he's moving forward, when he's pressing the action. He has to do that tonight against that man right there, Movlid Khabulaev, a guy who is a very dynamic striker, as you can see right there. He's got a lot of weapons on the feet, and it gets worse. He can grapple as well. He can submit you. He has excellent takedowns. This is such an intriguing fight.
How does win or go home influence the way we should bet fights like this? I don't know. So I send it over to Jonathan Coachman and Ian Parker because they do. Fellas?
Yeah, Sean, certainly it makes it more exciting, and these fighters know exactly what they have to do leading into the fight, and that's a little bit different than in other organizations. But last week, the entire ESPN2 card, we had to put it into a parlay. Not this week, because there are two fights that we can play straight. So tell me those two fights and why you like them to win. Ian, go ahead.
We're going to start off with Movlid Khabulaev. I think he gets it done here. I like these odds. I'm sorry, Hoosh Manfiu. Let's start with him first over Anthony Pettis. I got to be honest with you, Coach. I didn't like the way Anthony Pettis looked at weigh-ins yesterday. I don't know if he's had enough time to recover after that fight against Clay Collard. His striking wasn't there. He was way too hesitant. Manfiu seems hungry, and at plus 155 odds, it's hard to not think that he doesn't see this opportunity as the biggest one of his career, and I don't know if Pettis has it anymore. I like Manfiu at plus 155.
What about the other, Khabulaev? What do you like about that?
Sure. Movlid Khabulaev here. Look, this is a guy that showed poise, grappling, cardio in his last fight, and we've seen the dynamic striking out of him. I think Lance Palmer was just way too hesitant against Bubba Jenkins. If he's not leading, he's losing, and I don't see him be able to lead here. I think Khabulaev is better everywhere, and I think he gets it done. Unfortunately, I think we see Lance Palmer go home after tonight.
For those that are new to MMA betting, our baseline for what we think we can bet straight is minus 200, which is a little bit different than football, basketball, or other sports. So just give you a little education there. So those are our two straight plays from the ESPN2 card. And don't worry, we've got a little something special for this Goldsoft coming up a little bit later on. But for now, Sean, send it back to you, cage side.
Thanks very much, and wow. Those picks not only represent maybe winning plays, but a potential changing of the guard inside the PFL Smart Cage. Because we're talking about guys who were championship favorites to start the season, not even making the playoffs potentially.
I'm not ready to write off those former champions there, but they do have very difficult matchups. I mean, you look at Movlid Khabulaev. Can we find a wrestler that he trains with that could mimic a Lance Palmer? Let's see, Khabib Nurmagomedov. That's not a bad training partner. And of course, you know, you look at Hausch, a guy who trains with Natan Schultz. He knows what it takes to compete at the highest level. That has given him a lot of confidence in his training. So he's ready to rock. I mean, these are two very interesting matchups.
Randy, what do you think? What would PFL playoffs look like without Lance Palmer even a part of them?
Oh, man, it's hard to even imagine. And he was, like I said, two-time champ literally in 2 seasons. Perfect. Expected to come back and three-peat. Gets derailed by his old college rivalry. Who could have picked that? It's amazing.
Championship mentality on display tonight from those guys. We'll find out shortly on ESPN2. But to open the night, we're here on ESPN Plus. 8 fights, playoff spots getting figured out at heavyweight and in the women's lightweight division as well. Take a look at the odds here. I already pointed out some of the favorites for you. Pacheco, Ante Delia, Hanan Ferreira, prohibitive favorites. Taylor Gardado's coming off a win. Clintson Abreu, he's brand new to the PFL. He's got 1 shot to get himself into the playoffs, and he's a favorite over a fellow newcomer. All right, that's 8 fights on ESPN Plus. That's a lot to unpack. So, Kenny, boil it down for me. What are you most looking forward to here?
Well, I got two fighters to watch, and they're both in the heavyweight division, and they're both from Brazil. Bruno Capalosa and Hanan Ferreira. Hanan Ferreira was in a very controversial fight against former UFC heavyweight champion Fabricio Verdum. There's the tap right there when he was caught in the triangle. Ended up getting out. Referee didn't see it. He ended up finishing with those devastating hammer fists. There was a bunch of strikes even before that. This guy hits hard. He's tall, and he's going to use that in his fights. And there's Bruno Capalosa moving up from 205 pounds. He said, listen, I'm going to be faster than all the heavyweights. That's going to be the difference. Yes, speed does kill. And we saw it there against D'Elia.
All right, so Kenny Florian likes the Brazilian heavyweights. That's not all that's on this undercard, this main card, the leading card on ESPN+. What are you most looking forward to?
Well, I'm looking forward to see how this women's division shakes out. Obviously, Pacheco sitting in the #1 spot with 6 points with a quick finish over Pajic. Kayla also on 6 points. They need to fight hard tonight so they don't see each other in the semifinals, rather in the finals. That leaves up the 3rd and 4th spot. And who's going to get it? Jenna Fabian coming off of a solid victory. Julia Pajic, we didn't see much of her. Here's Sanchez and Fabian. Sanchez showing that Muay Thai. Actually, Jenna Fabian is showing that Muay Thai skill, and she looks to be in the best shape we've ever seen here. We didn't see much of Pajic in the quick finish against Pacheco.
Yeah.
And the tape is a little slower than I am, I guess. But Pacheco looking good coming out and getting that. So I want to see more out of Pajic and see what she's got. That's going to be and Gordado sitting on 3. Young sitting on 3.
Yeah.
Who's really going to secure that 3rd and 4th spot in this division?
Like I said, 8 fights on Plus is a lot to unpack. So how are we betting it? For that, we go back to Coach and Ian Parker.
Yeah, Sean, there's 2 ways that you can bring numbers down in MMA that we love. Parlay, and we'll get to that, but also prop bets. And that means predicting a specific way that the fight is going to end. So with that being said, it is now time for Parker's prop bets presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Give me 3 fighters tonight, Ian, that you love for this prop bet section. Go.
We're going to start off with Ante D'Elia at +100 to win by TKO or KO. I think he bounces back after that last loss to Capalosa. He's fighting someone who will be looking to stand and bang, which plays right into his wheelhouse. Larissa Pacheco coming off a huge TKO win. I think in this fight against a kickboxer, she takes the fight to the ground, path of least resistance, and gets a submission for +150. And last but not least, Denise Goldsoft got a tough fight against Sales. I think this fight goes to a decision. I think he controls it everywhere, but I think the chin on Sales, which keeps this fight and helps it go the distance.
You know what I love? The plus sign next to all 3 of those numbers. But I mentioned the other good way to bring the numbers down, and that's to parlay fighters together. That's when you put multiple fighters together, and that brings the number way down. You can do 2, 3, 4, heck 5 if you'd like to. So give me, I don't know, how about 4 fighters tonight that's going to give me a number that I can play with? Go.
We're going to start with Hanan Ferreira coming off that controversial fight with Fabricio Verdum. His opponent's taking this on short notice. He's going to have the striking and the ground advantage. I like for him to get it done there. We're going to go next to Jenna Fabian. She's got the experience, the kickboxing, the athleticism. I like her at this number as the second part of our parlay. Moving on to the 3rd leg, Bruno Capalosa looking to continue that momentum against Muhammad Darius. Darius is just too hesitant with his striking. Capalosa is explosive. Look for him to get it done. And last but not least, to anchor our parlay on the ESPN2 card, Denise Goldsoft to win and get it done. And that wraps it up and get us into plus odds with our parlay.
Yeah, a little over +200, which I like a lot. Now, you're not one to brag about yourself, so I'll go ahead and do it. The last 2 weeks, Chris Wade, Sadabu C. First fights off going on ESPN+, and you use them as your underdog play of the week. Do we dare do it 3 weeks in a row?
Of course we dare. Let's do it. Jamel Jones. I think he gets it done here against Klidson Abreu. I like him at +145. After his last loss, he bounced back with 2 KOs. And Abreu's a guy who should take the fight to the ground, but for some reason likes to stand and bang. That plays right into Jones' wheelhouse. I think he gets it done as our dog of the night at +145. Let's go, Jamel Jones.
We've given you the dog, we've given you the parlay, we've given you the props, we've given you Kayla Harrison, and also follow Ian Parker on social media. You can discuss all the picks with him all night long on ESPN Plus and ESPN2. So we're going to sit back, we're going to head to the pay window, and we'd love to see everybody there. Sean, let's get this thing started. Back to you.
Thank you, Coach. The Duck going for the three-peat on the fight opening underdog. I like it. It's risky, but that's what we're here for. Also, he said Denise Goldsoft by decision. And when you see the size of these two heavyweights squaring off, you're probably not going to be leaning towards, yeah, that's going to end the decision. Ray Sefo, president of fighter operations, is a massive man, and he's got to get on his tiptoes, and is still dwarfed by those two individuals. Randy Couture, does this one see the final bell?
Man, it's tough to call. There's two great big guys, and you don't make one single mistake to finish this fight. So, man, it's a rough one to see go in the distance, honestly. Those are huge guys.
But Kenny, chin on display from both of these guys in the past, so maybe.
Absolutely. There's heavyweights, and then there's those kind of heavyweights who cut down. Ray Sefo, competed in boxing, kickboxing, MMA as a heavyweight, and he looks small. And I'm sure if any of us hit Brandon Sales directly in the face, he'd go, that's cute, guys. He's got an amazing chin, excellent defensive skills. Goldsoft, of course, built from that same kind of cloth. So this is going to be a fantastic fight.
Those two behemoths will open the night on ESPN2 coming up at 10 Eastern. And tonight only, MMA fans can play in a free PFL main event pool on DraftKings for a shot at $5,000 in prizes. Just download the DraftKings app, sign up with promo code PFL, and submit your picks to compete for your share of $5 grand in prizes. One last look at the ESPN Plus fight card coming up right around the corner. 8 fights at heavyweight and at women's lightweight. Those are the odds. Give you one last shot to put in your picks. And beginning at 10 Eastern on ESPN2, these 4 incredible bouts. Women's lightweight, men's lightweight, featherweight, heavyweight. The final touches on the playoff picture in every single one of those. Kayla Harrison still a massive favorite. We will be live with action in the Fight World PFL playoffs on the line next on Plus.